The world around us is an extremely noisy place. We are constantly receiving input and being forced to make thousands of micro decisions a day. Our minds are always going, thinking ahead, planning, and worrying. But what if you could learn to quiet all that noise? What if you could find total peace and calm at any given moment? Today, we are going to talk about how to do exactly that. Hello and welcome to Becoming Burnout Proof, the podcast for women entrepreneurs who want to increase their income and their impact without burning out. I'm your host, Meg Bingham. I'm a certified stress management specialist and marketing strategist, and today we are going to talk about mindfulness. Now, I'm sure 100% that you've heard about mindfulness and why it's so good for your mind and body. You might have dabbled here and there, tried an app or a YouTube video, maybe you enjoyed the experience, or maybe you feel like you just don't quite get it yet. If you are here listening and you've been doing formal mindfulness practices for a while, then you know how powerful it can be. Hopefully, you'll be nodding along throughout this episode. I will be transparent and tell you that I am in no way a mindfulness expert. I'm pretty new to it, actually. As a stress management specialist, I understand the benefits, but I haven't truly experienced those benefits until very recently. I had an app that I'd use here and there, and my mind would wander, and I'd feel like I wasn't doing it right. I just wasn't practicing consistently. Mindfulness felt like a big gap in my stress management practice, so I decided to level up my skills and go all in. I signed up for an intensive mindfulness based stress reduction class. It's a pretty big time investment. It's 8 weeks of weekly 3-hour classes plus 1 hour of formal meditation practice per day. So signing up for that felt a little bit daunting. While I was worried about that time investment, I can't even tell you how my new mindfulness practice has saved me. That sounds so dramatic, but it's true. 2025 so far has been kind of wild here in the United States. There's a lot weighing on the general population pretty heavily that's out of our individual control. So stress levels here are just at this baseline level of internal screaming, okay? In my own personal life, my husband suffered a snowboarding injury that took him out for a few weeks, which was also, it's the middle of germ season and the kids are coming home with a new illness every week, right? So all of this happened right before my mindfulness class started, and I strongly considered canceling because the time didn't feel right. I'm so glad I stuck to the commitment I made to attend that class because it required me to take an evening to myself every week, even if I needed to get a babysitter because my husband was out of commission. It required me to spend 1 hour per day on myself, learning to quiet my mind and come to the present moment. I left class one night and sent my friend a Voxer, and I told her, I'm just so calm. I feel so relaxed. I don't even know what to do with myself right now. Mindfulness fills up my resilience tank, so I have a greater capacity to deal with stress and resist burnout. Even if it is relentless germ season and I end up waking up at 3 a.m. to clean a projectile vomit off the wall, like what happened when I was writing this script for this podcast. Seriously, I'm going to Lysol bomb the entire house again after this episode is done. The dictionary definition of mindfulness is this: a mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations, used as a therapeutic technique. While researching for this episode, because I love to research, I found a scholarly article published by Penn State University that shed more light on this definition. They said the term mindfulness has been used to refer to a psychological state of awareness, a practice that promotes this awareness, a mode of processing information, and a characterological trait. That was a big word. I'm glad I got that one. The word mindfulness originally comes from the Pali word sati, which means having awareness, attention, and remembering. Mindfulness can simply be defined as a moment-by-moment awareness or as a state of psychological freedom that occurs when attention remains quiet and limber without attachment to any particular point of view. For the purpose of this episode, we're using that definition, a moment-by-moment awareness, which is a state rather than a personality trait, okay? This article lists several empirically supported benefits of mindfulness. Empirically supported just means that the results are scientifically proven through research and observation. So even if you're new to mindfulness, it might feel a little woo-woo. Keep in mind that the benefits are scientifically proven. Practicing mindfulness regularly can improve your emotional regulation and decrease reactivity. Both of those things support healthier relationships. It can decrease stress and anxiety. It can improve your brain health, help you to manage chronic pain, improve heart health, and increase your capacity for recovery. Many of these benefits are the result of decreasing stress, which can wreak havoc on our minds and bodies. With my stress management clients and in other episodes of this podcast, I've talked about when we start to experience a stress response, when we feel our heart rate start to increase, we start to sweat, our stomach tightens, emotions get bigger, whatever stress feels like in your body. I talk a lot about being able to pause in that moment when you feel that response beginning, recognize what is happening in your body, and being able to calm yourself long enough to shift from a threat response to a challenge response. Remind yourself that you're not, in fact, being chased by a bear, and decide how to approach whatever non life threatening stressor you are facing. That space where you're able to experience that awareness is made possible through mindfulness. Mindfulness can be part of filling your resilience tank, allowing you that awareness space to process, discern, and then take action. If you're like I was and you've tried practicing mindfulness before, but you don't really get it yet, you might be aware or dealing with some of these misconceptions. One such misconception is the idea that practicing mindfulness means doing a formal sitting meditation. While I've come to love a formal meditation, we can practice mindfulness at any moment, anywhere we are. Instead of listening to a podcast on a walk or an audiobook, we can pay attention to our surroundings, noticing the things we see, hear, smell, and feel. Feel the sun on your face and the pavement under your feet. If it's freezing cold outside, like it kind of is here, feel that cool breeze on your nose, okay? Hear the birds singing or the leaves rustling or the hum of cars driving by. When you experience those things in the moment, that is practicing mindfulness. We can even practice mindfulness while we are eating. Pay close attention to how the food looks, feels, smells, and tastes. Allow yourself to slow down and really experience it. You don't have to meditate to be mindful. Just direct your attention to your current experience without judgment. Again, you can do this anytime, anywhere. You don't need to be sitting a specific way or to have spa music playing in the background, I promise. Another misconception is the idea that mindfulness means completely emptying your mind. That's kind of what I thought. When I had tried different mindfulness apps previously and my mind would wander like crazy, I just think my mind's too busy to be good at this. But guess what? That's what our brains are designed to do. If your goal is to completely empty your mind, you might criticize yourself when you follow that train of thought and lose focus on the present moment. One of the most beautiful things I'm learning about mindfulness is that it's about non-striving. So there's not really a goal to work toward. You don't achieve mindfulness, you practice it. Instead of focusing on completely emptying our minds of all thought, we notice those thoughts without judgment and gently redirect our focus on our anchor in the present moment, our breath, for example. You might have tried a handful of times and feel like you are not good at mindfulness. This was me, and this idea is interesting to me as I'm learning more. I usually move pretty fast. I think a lot of it stems from my first job. I started work as a surgical assistant in a busy private practice when I was just 17, and we were moving through surgical cases so fast. It was my job to anticipate the needs of the surgeon all day, passing tools as fast as possible, moving people through. Efficiency was the top priority, second only to patient safety. So I carried that consistent urgency over into every area of my life for over a decade. So sometimes when I practice mindfulness, I find myself very restless. I want to rush it so I can move on to the next thing. I need to get my mindfulness done so I can go tackle that laundry or whatever it is. Then I get frustrated with myself because the purpose of practicing mindfulness is to come to the present moment and to stop worrying about the next thing. But again, we learn to notice those thoughts and that frustration and allow them to pass without judgment. While it's a skill we can practice to improve, it's also a constant work in progress. If you don't feel relaxed after practicing mindfulness, it doesn't mean it's not for you. It doesn't mean you're not good at it. You just need more practice. Being fully present can be very difficult when the world around us is designed to keep us distracted, which is another reason why learning to do this is so important. I wanted to keep this episode short and sweet, so I'm going to leave you with a couple of free resources to give mindfulness a try. One is my favorite app currently. It's called Insight Timer. It has plenty of guided mindfulness and meditations. Another is just to do a good YouTube search. There's so many amazing options there. The third resource I'll recommend, although there may be some investment involved, is to search your area for a mindfulness-based stress reduction course. I'm not being overly dramatic when I say it could change your life. That's all for today, my friend. Be well and be kind, and I will talk to you again soon.